welcome to my car and welcome to an exciting video. So this is going to be a bit of a Books and Lala inspired reading vlog. When Caleb put out her like not failed ideas, but ideas that were scrapped for her like secret TBR style videos, I had this idea, which was kind of like a variant of an idea she'd had, and I was like, I can do that. I want to do that. So it's been a little while in the making because I had to time it well and the sun's coming out, God. But it's here. We're doing it today. So let me just get the sun out of my eyes. So today, well not today, well today we're starting this video, but this video is going to be the bookstore chooses what I read. So what I'm going to do is I'm like at the shopping center now. I'm going to go into Dimmicks and I'm sticking to the YA section only because I think we're going to be guaranteed the most amount of like successful hits or something. I'm excited, like I could potentially like. Middle grade in Australia is classified really weird. A lot of things that are considered middle grade are just lumped in the YA section, and middle grade tends to be like the younger readers middle grade. So not really middle grade, it's like junior fiction, so almost like primary school, like elementary school level, not middle grade. Middle grade gets lumped in with YA because of the way our school system works, I'm guessing. And so that is a like long series, not really the kind of thing I'm interested in. The fantasy section I think would just be too long. I'm not down to read 3 big fantasy books in a week. Just not like adult fantasy, no. So we're sticking to the YA section. What I'm going to do is when we head on in, I'm just going to film on my phone because I'm not prepared to get my camera out in the middle of the bookstore. But we're going to randomly select, using random number generators, 3 books from the YA section of the bookstore. So it could be anything. Rules that I put in place for myself: if it's a sequel, I'll read the first one if it's there, otherwise I'll run again, randomize again. If it's something I already own, that's fine, I can just read it. If it's something I've already read, I'll roll again. Randomize again. So let's go in and we'll see what we're going to be reading this week. Okay, well I have my books now. I'll do the haul for you later because I also bought other books just that are new releases that are on my like most anticipated list for the year. So I don't want to dig through the bag to pull out the ones that I've already shown you in the clips, but we did have a couple of dead ends where I had to redo. One of them was for a book I'd already read. One landed, which I didn't show you I don't think, landed on a Pittacus Law book, and I refused to read or buy Pittacus Law on principle. James Frey's an asshole, so that was like an instant no for me. And another one landed on a Riverdale book, and I'm not prepared to watch the show to understand the book, if that makes sense. So I also passed on that because my theory was I couldn't read like the first in the series, like the bit that was going to make me understand what was happening as a book. I'm not prepared to watch a whole TV show. So we also passed on that one. But I found 3 things that I'm actually really happy with. There's a middle grade in there, which looks super cute and fun. A book that I'd already heard about and was interested in reading. And what was the other one? Oh, and another book that I'd heard about, but had decided not to buy because I wasn't sure if I was going to love it or not, and it was just not a high enough priority for me, but that I'd already been vaguely interested in. So I think this was a win. Now let's see if we actually like the things. So we're back home and I thought I would just read you the synopsis of the 3 books we picked out. So the one I probably might start with is, depending on when exactly I get to start, might be We Are Lost and Found by Helene Dunbar. So this says, the inside flap says, Michael is content to live in the shadow of his best friends. James, a performance artist everyone wants and no one can have. And Becky, who calls things as she sees them while doing all she can to protect the people she loves. His brother Connor has already been kicked out of the house for being gay, and laying low seems to be Michael's only chance at avoiding the same fate. To pass the time before graduation, Michael hangs out at the Echo, where he can dance and forget about his father's angry words, the pressures of school, and the looming threat of AIDS, a disease everyone is talking about but no one understands. Then he meets Gabriel, a boy who actually sees him, a boy who, unlike seemingly everyone else in New York City, is interested in him and not James. But Michael has to decide what he's willing to risk to be himself. So that is We Are Lost and Found. So it's obviously a look at queer culture in 70s, 80s, with the AIDS epidemic, and it is told from like half a flick through. There aren't chapters, there are a couple of big sections, and then the rest is in like paragraphs and relatively short. I think they're also like separated by kind of like date. It's like March 1983, so we're in 1983. So just each month is kind of like, I guess maybe a chapter, but they're not really chapters. And then they're just separated by like paragraph blocks. So that is probably what I will read first, maybe. Then we have Murder Most Unladylike by Robin Stevens, which is a middle grade. And it says, there's been a rather shocking murder at Deepdene School for Girls. And this is a British read, I think. And it says, are you sure we shouldn't just go to the police? I asked. Don't be stupid, said Daisy severely. We don't have any evidence yet. We don't even have a body. They'd simply laugh at us. And anyway, this is our murder case. When Daisy Wells and Hazel Wong set up a secret detective agency at Deepdene School for Girls, they can't find a truly exciting mystery to investigate, unless you count the case of Lavinia's missing tie, which they don't. Then Hazel discovers the body of the science mistress, Miss Bell, but when she and Daisy return 5 minutes later, the body has disappeared. Now the girls have to solve a murder and prove a murder happened in the first place. But will they succeed, and can their friendship stand the test? This is also a series, so if I enjoy this first one, I'm really tempted to pick up more. This is the Murder Most Unladylike Mysteries. So this is obviously the first one. It took me a minute to figure that out. I had to look it up on Goodreads. But there's also Arsenic for Tea, First Class Murder, and Jolly Foul Play. And a short, I think. Somewhere it said there was also a short story. The Case of the Blue Violet, a tuckbox-size mystery starring Daisy Wells and Hazel Wong. So a short story. So that is this one. It looks really cute. I'm really excited to read it. And then exactly the kind of middle grade I like. And finally we have Amelia Westlake by Erin Goff. This is, or Erin Van Gogh. This is a Lovel's YA story, and I think it had been on my radar, but I think I was confusing it with something else. Maybe Jacaranda by Alice Pung. I think they have like kind of visually similar covers, and I was confusing them in my head. But the plot of this is something I'm super interested in. Kind of is giving me the disreputable history of Frankie Landau Banks vibes, but super queer. So it says, two very different girls and one giant hoax that could change or ruin everything. Harriet Price has the perfect life. She's a prefect at Rosemead Grammar, she lives in a mansion, and her gorgeous girlfriend is a future Prime Minister. So when she risks it all by creating a hoax to expose the school's many problems, with help from notorious bad girl Will Everhart no less, Harriet tells herself it's because she's seeking justice, and definitely not because she finds Will oddly fascinating. But as Will and Harriet's campaign heats up, it gets harder for them to remain sworn enemies and to avoid being caught. As tensions burn throughout the school, how far will they go to keep their mission and their feelings for each other a secret? I'm really excited about this. Queer, like mystery but hoaxy. Oh, that just sounds so good. I love that kind of stuff. I'm so excited. Honestly, the randomizing gods graced me today with some amazing picks. I'm so happy. Okay, so it's been a couple of days since I talked to you last. I was reading the synopses, but it's time to finally start We Are Lost and Found by Helene Dunbar. So this is the first pick, mainly because I'm like low-key trying to participate in a readathon next week. And I want to finish this for, like, I've got a couple of days before that starts. So we're going to start with this one, which doesn't fit any of the prompts. Well, it does, but not as nicely. And hey, this was the first one I randomly selected out too, so why not? I'm trying to finish this in like 2 days. Then I'm kind of busy in, so it might not happen, but that's our goal. My expectations going into this are that it's going to be sad. I'm gonna maybe cry. I'm expecting not lyrical writing, but like writing that really is like hits you in the feels kind of writing. It's not like flowery over the top, but like I almost expect like the opposite, where it's like so truncated it hits you in the feels is kind of what I'm expecting, but we'll see. I'm interested to see which character I like the most. I think it's all from one point of view, but we'll see. So I'm only like 4 pages in, but I've already noticed that it's told in first person, which I kind of expected. But it's also doesn't have quotation marks, which is a stylistic choice. I've read from it before, like it doesn't overly bother me, but it's a choice. It is a choice. I'm interested to see how it works for me in the long run. Sometimes it can be like, why'd you bother? That was unnecessary. Sometimes it can be like, oh, that kind of like made a point. And other times it can just be like, why are you so annoying? But we'll see. We'll see. So I haven't really had time to vlog that much yesterday. We had a whole bunch of house inspections and then I had work, but I did get to 150 pages into We Are Lost and Found last night. So that's more than halfway. Good job me. Don't know how much I'm going to get to read today, but we're going to try and power through and finish this today. I am really enjoying this. I think it embodies the 80s really, really well. So it's in like 82, I think. And it really feels like the 80s. Our main character, Michael, is dealing with a lot of stress and pressure about whether he could come out. His older brother was kicked out of home for being gay. And he's still at home but doesn't know how to like be himself, knowing he'll get kicked out if he comes out to his parents. Dealing with the AIDS epidemic and wanting to fall in love and have a relationship with someone but not knowing how to deal with AIDS. And he's also dealing with high school, and it's just so good. I actually really like the writing style. I don't think it would be for everyone, but it pretty much works for me. And I can't wait to finish it. I feel like this has been a very boring update, but I also have to rush to a party, so I don't have time to chat. But I've been enjoying it. I'll let you know more later tonight. Hopefully I'll finish it. So I literally, oh, lighting. Oh, that's awful. So I literally got back from I had the party at work and then my shift, and then got back, had dinner, played Glee Scene for like hours till bedtime. So I have like read, I think it's probably maybe 30 pages today. Yeah, about 30 pages, but only not because I'm not enjoying it, just because I had a busy day. So I was hoping to finish this tonight, but I've got another like 80 pages to go. So I don't think that's gonna happen, but I might try and read another 20 or so before bed. Maybe. I do have a pretty chill day. Tomorrow I have a meeting in the afternoon at work and some stuff to do during the day, but like otherwise pretty chill. So maybe, well, we're definitely going to finish it tomorrow. So we might be able to finish tomorrow and start the next book of this challenge. and give you my final thoughts on this, because I am, yeah, really enjoying it so far, but I also feel like I don't have profound thoughts on it yet, and I think it's going to really depend where the second half goes. It's a very slice of lifey book, we lost and found, and I think that, like, I'm not, if you watch my channel regularly, I tend to enjoy the contemporaries I read, but I'm not a big contemporary reader. Like, I don't read a lot of contemporary. So I feel like I'm gonna like it, and I am liking it, but it is very slice of life, coming of age, I guess, but it's not very plot heavy. There's like a bit of a romance, but mostly it's character exploration and like living the tough life. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'll update you more tomorrow when I finish it. So I'm about to go get ready for work, but I thought I would update you because I did just finish We Are Lost and Found by Helene Dunbar. I don't think this is for everyone necessarily, but it does tell some important messages. I do think though that the writing style is probably a bit peculiar and some people might not like it. But I really enjoyed this. I think I would give it maybe a 4.5 stars, 4.5. I don't think it's like my next, like, I don't think when I get to the end of the year and I'm writing my list of best books of the year that this is going to pop up, so I don't think I would give it a 5 star. But I had a great time reading it, and it was really thoughtful and well done. So basically, to give a proper synopsis, which I don't think I ever did, we follow Michael, whose brother got kicked out of home for being gay, and he's also gay but doesn't quite know how to come out to his parents or anything because he knows he'll probably also get kicked out of home. His best friend is gay and a performing artist and is dealing with a lot of his friends and acquaintances getting sick and dying from AIDS. Their friend Becky is also dealing with her like tumultuous relationship with her boyfriend, who's a guardian angel, which are like a group that go patrol the streets and protect gay people, and she's just like very doesn't know how to be in a relationship, so she's struggling with that with him. And then Michael's older brother is also super promiscuous and he's worried about him. And really it's more an exploration of Michael finding himself and how he wants to be as a queer person, and also like just in his life in general. And it's a bit of a like gentle romance, but also I don't think the romance is the central tenet of this. Like, they could have, like, the outcome of the romance isn't important to the plot, if that makes sense. I think it's much more about exploring culture in this time period. And it's set in 1982, so the AIDS epidemic is in full swing, but how it's transmitted and what to do about it isn't quite clear yet. So there's a lot of fear in these groups about how do we have meaningful relationships, or be ourselves in the queer community, but also be safe. And that's really probably the central tenet of this story, is about safety and trust and love and being yourself. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. I'm really glad the randomizing gods made me pick this, because I had seen this on Goodreads and had some people talk about it, because this cover is kind of similar to the cover for I Hope You Get This Message. Like, it's got a similar art style, and I was like, oh, that looks cool, and I clicked on it, but the synopsis is very, I want to say, like, generic YA, and it didn't really like stand out to me. I tend to not pick up contemporary unless it has some amazing twist or something that I've heard someone talk about. I hadn't heard anybody talk about this to get me interested, and it just seemed kind of like generic from the synopsis, but I actually really loved it. So I'm very glad that this challenge prompted me to read it because I probably wouldn't have without it, but I think I found something I really enjoyed, and I'm definitely going to keep it on my shelf. The next book to read for me to read for this challenge is Murder Most Unladylike by Robin Stevens. There's been a rather shocking murder at Deep Dean's School for Girls, and this is the first in the Murder Most Unladylike mystery series. I will start this later today, so get excited. I don't know what's happening, but the zoom and I've changed something on my camera. I now have a grid. I never before, so I'm like staring at my viewfinder. But it's been a little while. 1 second. Sorry, never mind that. It's been a few days since I finished We Are Lost and Found, but I've been reading other stuff and was busy. But I'm just about to pick up Murder Most Unladylike by Robin Stevens. It is currently 4:50, but I have a pretty empty evening. I'm gonna try and get like 75% of the way through this. It is middle grade. The text is pretty big. Do we think I can do it? Do we think I can do it? Okay, so I'm 70 pages into Murder Most Unladylike. I'm really enjoying this. This is really cute. So we follow Hazel and Daisy. We're told from Hazel's perspective. And she is a girl from Hong Kong who's been sent off by her parents, or maybe by her father, to a English public school. So like the classic British boarding school for girls, which is Deep Dean School for Girls Academy, Deep Dean Academy, something like that. And so it's classic British boarding school middle grade. Like I feel like there's a lot of them, especially in the UK market, but we get a lot in Australia as well. It's making me think a lot of Miranda, if anyone's seen Miranda, because the main character is an old public school girl. She went to a public school, and there's the girls that she went to school with that she doesn't particularly like, but they're her public school friends, and they're all hobbity-tobbity and very like fake posh, and it's reminding me a lot of that. It's really funny. I do really like that it's generally diverse. So yeah, Hazel's Chinese from Hong Kong, and there's some gentle, casual queer representation. I'm pretty sure it implied 2 of the mistresses were seeing each other, and then a man came into the picture, I think. It's also implied some of the older girls are canoodling, but just very casually. That's cute. And then obviously there's a murder mystery. So one of their mistresses, Hazel, found one of them dead in the gym, and she went to go tell someone, and when they got caught by one of the older girls, like not head girls, but like a prefect who caught them, and she was like, oh well, there was somebody was injured in the gym, because they didn't want to say I found a dead body in the gym, because that sounded ridiculous. But when they got back there, no one was there, and the body was gone, and no one is talking about it, just that the teacher that she thought it was has gone, so it's like missing from school. So Hazel and Daisy are essentially on a mystery quest to figure out what happened to the teacher. It's really cute. It's just fun and straightforward. It's kind of like Nancy Drew's American, right? So this, I would say, is kind of like a British-ish version of Nancy Drew. You definitely have that boarding school vibe, like Harry Potter, or what else has boarding schools? There's lots of things. But yeah, that like public boarding school, British, slightly posh vibe. But also it's really fun. I'm just having a good time. Like, I've flown through these 70 pages this evening, and really, since I talked to you last, it's like been maybe 3 hours, and in that time I've eaten dinner, I've watched a half an hour YouTube video, and some other YouTube videos. I washed dishes, put bins out. Like really I haven't spent that much time reading, but I'm already 70 pages in. And so I have to go to work in 2 hours. But I honestly think I could read so much before then, and I could read a lot once I get to work. So we're gonna see how far we can get in this. I probably won't update you till I'm quite a bit further, because it's not like there's lots of twists and turns to update you on. But I'll keep you updated with my opinion. Well, like, it's middle grade and I don't want to spoil anything, so there's not that many twists and turns. But if I have anything more to share with you, I will come back and let you know. I didn't really mention it before. I think I just forgot. But Hazel and Daisy do fall into the Holmes and Watson trope. So we're following Hazel's first person descriptions, and she's the Watson, obviously. And Daisy is the like aloof, ridiculously intelligent, but kind of hides it. Like hard to be friends with because she's so intelligent and so aware of her own intelligence. I'm interested to see if they start using terms like sociopath, not sociopathic, but like eidetic memory and some of those other like kind of fancier terms for middle grade to describe Daisy more in this. But I can definitely see her as a young Charlotte Holmes from this somewhere up there, the Study in Charlotte, those ones. I could see Daisy being a young Charlotte Holmes. But yeah, so it does have that trope, if you were wondering. I'm about to go to work, but I just wanted to tell you that last night I read all of Murder, Most Unladylike. I'm actually so happy. I was like, girl, try and read all of it, but it's never gonna happen. And then it happened, and I was so thrilled. This is so good. I'm actually really tempted to pick up book 2. I had a great time reading this. It's like, I was a bit concerned. I guess it's really for that 13 to 14 age group, not like 10 to 12. And so it's like an actual murder. I was concerned it would be like they think it's a murder, but it turns out they were misunderstanding everything the whole time. No, it's an actual murder. And I was actually so impressed with the quality of this and the quality of the mystery. I love mysteries, but I find like domestic thrillers too meh in most cases, but this was so fun. I think I like the Sherlock and Watson trope as a mystery theme overall, is my like preferential. Like I just listened to 2 audiobooks, or I'm currently listening to one and I listened to the other. One is The Sentence's Death by Anthony Horowitz, and the other one is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware, both of which are thriller mysteries. The Turn of the Key, fine, but I'm having a hard time getting into it, and it's more like a domestic thriller. And God, the girls are going nuts. And The Sentence's Death is a Sherlock and Watson dynamic detective thriller, a detective mystery. And I think I'm just coming to learn that those are what I love. Overall, if you're giving me a mystery thriller, please be a Holmes and Watson dynamic. Love it, which is what we have in here. And I love like a whodunit, trying to figure out what's going on. This was so much fun. Yes, some of the twists and turns didn't have as many like well-placed clues for you to figure it out, I guess, but it's a middle grade, like that's fine. I still only guessed it when they guessed it, but I think that's because there wasn't as many clues that were clear, but like less foreshadowing. But I still loved the twist, and I thought they were just really cute about the way they went about detecting. And it was great fun, and I'm definitely going to continue this series. It's like an ongoing, currently got 8 books out series, but I'm going to read them because this was so much fun. I'm going to go buy book 2 next time I'm at the bookstore. totally would recommend. If you want a middle grade mystery that's still like actually good, like a good murder mystery. I think the second one's called Arsenic for Tea, and I am so ready. So the randomization gods gave me a second glorious choice. We only have one thing left, and that is Amelia Westlake by Erin Goff, which I'm actually really excited for because I've heard amazing things about it. This is an Australian fiction, so a lover's YA title, and it's set in a fancy girls' school. Yeah, Rosemead Grammar. But unlike Murder Most Unladylike, which is like British boarding school, I don't think this is boarding school because Australia doesn't really have that many of them. I think it's more like a posh grammar school. As you can tell by their boating hats, love it. It's Australian and I'm excited because I love feeling like I understand the culture and the atmosphere and stuff of the setting. Love a Lovel's YA book. It's got like so many sapphic characters, and I've heard people say it's just amazing. So I'm super hyped to read this. So I'll let you know once I've read a bit. So I'm 40 pages in to Amelia Westlake, and I will say I think this is a very Australian book, and I feel like that's going to influence people's reading. I say this because when I went to add it to my Goodreads like currently reading shelf, I saw a lot of reviews on there, and although this has an overall rating of over 4 stars, it was very polarizing. Like people either rated it 4 or 5 stars or like 1 or 2 stars. And that this was boring, the worst thing ever, the characters were super unlikable. And I'm like, they just read like Australian teenagers. Is this the fact that sarcasm and like dry wit is such a big like hallmark of Australian teenagers? I don't know. But this I'm really enjoying, but everyone is like fully mixed bag on this. So my opinion might change, but I'm currently really enjoying this, and it's a fun time, but very Australian, so maybe in its humor especially, so maybe that's part of the problem. I don't know. So I'm 100 pages in now, and I thought I better give you a bit more of a synopsis of what Amelia Westlake is actually about. So this follows 2 sapphic women, schoolgirls, like high school girls in Australia, love and life. There's Harriet and Will, and Will is, they both go to this like fancy girls school, like posh private school, and Will is kind of probably like the lowbrow end of a posh high school. She's not doing well in class, she's a bit of a rebel, but also like just doesn't really agree with the school environment very much, and she wishes she was somewhere more like a public school. And then she's got a kind of flirtationship with Natalie Nyan, who runs the school newspaper. And then Harriet is like cream of the crop of a posh private girls school. Is set to be like the winner of the tennis doubles and is head of the formal committee, and she's very like fancy, and very much has blinkers on. She's very naive, and she thinks things in the school run perfectly as to the like pamphlets. And she doesn't really see until it's pointed out to her a lot of the injustices that are happening at the school that Will is like distinctly aware of. She's seeing this girl from not a rival school, they're like sister schools. And their relationship is like very manipulative, as in her girlfriend takes her for granted and manipulates the crap out of her because of her naive, blinkery nature. Like she's writing all her girlfriends' debate speeches that her girlfriend's then winning competitions with and things. But she just doesn't realize it at 100 pages in that it's manipulative as fuck. And basically the plot is that Will and Harriet kind of come together and accidentally generate this comic. Not accidentally, but the idea kind of organically pops up for this idea for this comic outing the gym teacher as a pervert. And it goes really well, but they obviously publish it under a pseudonym because neither of them want to get in trouble for it, especially Harriet, who's very, ooh, the school loves me, can't do anything to upset the school. And so they publish under the name Amelia Westlake, which they pick because it's got to look like it's not a pseudonym to actually be accepted in the school magazine, because you're not allowed to submit anonymously. So then this character of Amelia Westlake kind of forms that the two of them are contributing to, and is kind of like a big hoax to out problems in the school. But really also it's a lot, I think, about these two. From what I can tell, I feel like it's going to be an exploration of these two really polar opposite girls and their eventual like middle grounding. Like Will is a bitch because she's like the emo at a private girls' school. Like clearly she's queer of some description, and she's like the emo queer, I guess. Whereas Harriet is like the alpha lesbian of the scenario. And we're putting them into stereotypical boxes here because that's kind of the point. They're very like polar opposites. And it's definitely a romance, and you can see them like becoming more middling and middle ground in their understandings of the world. Harriet's becoming slowly less and less naive. And Will is becoming less bitter with the world. And yeah, that's basically the plot and premise. I'm like a third of the way through, just under a third of the way through. And I'm having a grand time. It's, yeah, really good. I still don't know what people are complaining about. It does have obviously themes of relationship, like domestic abuse between her and her girlfriend, because her girlfriend is awful. I'm pretty sure it'll have a cheating trope. And it is Will's friend Natasha, who's Vietnamese Australian, is definitely on the butt end of some awful racist jokes, and there's other like offensive commentary. But to me, and I think this is like what I mean by this is an Australian book and has an Australian level of commentary which might be too subtle for some people. It's not as overt as maybe people want it to be. But to me, it reads very satirically of like these posh, like private school girls are absolute bitches. And they're racist, offensive. Like Harriet's friend Beth just said, "Hi, lover," and then loses her shit because she's like, well, it's different with you because you're a lesbian. Like, they're offensive and they don't understand they're being offensive. But I feel like that's a critique of like not supporting that mentality, more saying like, look how fucking dumb private school girls are. And in fact, any school children, like high schoolers, are fucking dumb. We were all there once. We were all dumb as shit high schoolers. So I think it's really feeding into that. But I think that might be too subtle for some people. Maybe. I don't know. So I haven't updated you in like days. Oh. Looking at myself in the viewfinder is making me a little dizzy. I got really busy. Number one. We had... What happened? Thursday, if you can't tell, I'm sick. I was gonna do what we've been busy with first though. Went to Jesse's show Thursday night. Friday, I was working on reading Harry Potter, and then I had work from 7, and I played a lot of Sims, because Sims University just came out. And then yesterday, Saturday, I was starting to get sick. I had work, then a bit of time off where we looked at some houses, then back to work, and then back home, and we went to Jesse's show again. And then woke up this morning, death. Very not going well. I was supposed to work from 4:30 all the way through tonight. It's like 3 o'clock now, and I've managed to find people to fill most of my shift. So I'm only going from 4:30 till 7. I'm doing a lot of staring into space because I'm so sick. I got a chest cold, which started off as a sore throat, and it's now like properly migrated to my chest, which I like. I prefer coughs not. Sorry, I prefer my coughs not to be painful, which was what I had Saturday. Yesterday. Today I woke up and it's more chesty, but also it's now in my gut too, so that's fun. So basically what I'm telling you is I was reading Harry Potter, and I finished that, which wasn't for this challenge obviously because it's a reread, but it was for the Dry Wizard Tournament readathon, which has been running this week. So I was focusing on trying to get that done because it was a key component for that readathon. So I hadn't been picking up Amelia Westlake because I got busy. Yeah. And it's now 3 o'clock, and all I've done today is sleep. And I wanted to play some Sims today. So it's just that kind of day, and the kind of day where the camera just won't focus on me. That's nice. Thank you so much, camera. But anyway, I'm going to try and read a bit of this afternoon at work, if I can make my brain focus, and then when I get back from work, I want to play a bit of Sims as well. But hopefully I'll get through some of this. I didn't really want to carry it into next week if I could help it, but I'm sick. What can I do? Also, I'm meant to be going back to work properly next week. And then I get sick. Like Friday, I was like, yay, back to work properly next week. None of this disjointed schedule that we've had. And then I get the flu. So, what a fun time. Anyway, I'll talk to you later once I've actually hopefully read some of this. Never mind, let's try this again. It's the next day. I still haven't read anything because I've been sick. Yay. Okay, I've been sitting here reading, and like, I don't know if it's just that I've taken some days off this and now I'm coming back, or whether the book suddenly had a bit of a shift. But these last couple of chapters have been super campy for like no reason. The dialogue doesn't really, like, its pacing is kind of weird, and also the character dynamics and like internal monologue are like really cheesy all of a sudden. I don't know what's happening. We'll keep you updated. Okay, so I successfully read stuff today. Go me. Actually, I've read quite a chunk of this, like 150 pages. I'm proud of myself. I was going to try and finish it tonight, but it's late and I'm sleepy and I'm still sick and I gotta go to work tomorrow morning, so we're not pushing ourselves here, friendos. But I will finish this tomorrow. Yeah, so I was talking with April earlier on FaceTime, because what have I done today? We watched Black Friday from StarKid. I paid for the digital ticket. We watched it. Not my fave, but still alright. We went to a house inspection. Love that. Stuff I just taken. And then I've been reading, and I played a little bit of Sims. And April and I FaceTimed, and I was talking to her about this as we were reading. And basically, I think there was a very quick, like, development and turnaround of feelings for the main characters.
But if you consider how actual teenagers in actual high school behave, I think it's super realistic. So I think what this book has is a very self-aware reflection of what it means to be a teenager in Australia. And it's almost taking the piss. Like, it is taking the piss, but also in a very subtle way, which is something Australian humour has a tendency to do. It's kind of like British humour. But I think sometimes a little bit more subtle, especially in literature. So I feel like it's taking the piss, but subtly, on, like, the high school experience. So in that way, it's really clever and funny, but it does come across a bit abrupt, especially in, like, the emotional development of the relationship in this. But it kind of works. The perspectives are very, like, cheese. I said to April, campy, because, like, one main character is really naive and the other is really, like, goth chic. Like, naive Pretty in Pink versus, like, goth chic, and they're both done in first perspective, alternating, so the narration really reflects their attitudes and things, and then as they shift, it's reflected in the narration as well. So, like, even the narration and the writing style reflects those, and personally I think it's kind of clever, but very subtle. Very subtle. I am having a lot of fun with this, though I do wish the, like, prank elements and the plot, rather than just the emotional stuff, was maybe a little bit more, not fleshed out, but, like, complicated, and more action-packed. This really does give me, like, vibes of the book, what's it called? The Disreputable History of Frankie Landau Banks. But, like, if that one did the heisty, like, plotty bit more intensely than this does. And I just kind of wish it had a bit more of that, whereas this is really more using that as an avenue to explore relationships. Which is fine, but, like, yeah. So I'm enjoying this one currently, like, with, like, 70 to 80 pages to go. I think I would call this, like, a high 3, low 4 stars. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, but I don't even think, I think it would be my least favourite so far of the 3 I've read for this challenge. I think if we were to rank them on pure enjoyment, we would go Murder Most Unladylike because it was so fun, then We're Lost and Found because it was really emotional and I flew through it, and then this. Though none of them are bad by any means, and, like, as I said right from the start of this challenge, the randomization gods treated me well. Anyway, I'm gonna go to bed, and we'll finish that tomorrow, and I'll check in with you. I was meant to go into work to have a meeting this morning, but the meeting was cancelled, and I'm still sick, so it's time to finish this book. Okay, so I've just finished Amelia Westlake by Erin Goff. I ended up enjoying this. I think it's probably like a 3.754 stars. It was a fun time, but I feel like it missed some maybe heavier impacting emotional beats that it could have had. I really liked that there's a lot of, like, shitty actions that happen, but they often have, or I think always, had kind of serious consequences because of them. We didn't have really dramatic things happen and then they were kind of brushed under the rug, which was antithetical to the whole point of the plot. So I did enjoy that. I do wish that the plot was kind of more detailed and less on the characters, but it is, like, so it is really a character-driven story, which wasn't what I expected going in, but I did really enjoy the characters. I think their growth and development over the whole is really realistic to teenagers, and I think their like emotional growth as individuals was probably better handled, slower, well developed than their like emotional attachments to each other. Like the relationships were kind of quick and stilted to develop, but that really makes sense for teenagers. So yes, I loved all the Australian Australian references that were done well to me. Like they didn't come across as cheesy, which sometimes happens. They were just like well placed in there. I really liked that. So overall, I really enjoyed this. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's a 5-star read by any means, but I had a good time. I did not like it in any way. So overall, we read 3 things this like now week and a half, almost 2 weeks. I read We Are Lost and Found by Helene Dunbar, which again I gave about a 4 stars. This is really emotional and like a coming of age story, and it was really well done, but again just failed to hit like a 5-star beat for me. Then we read Murder Most Unladylike by Robin Stevens, which is a middle grade Sherlock Holmes style murder mystery, and I loved this. Probably my favorite of the week, and I'm definitely going to pick up the second book in this series. It was so fun. And then finally, Amelia Westlake by Erin Goff, which was probably my least favorite of the week, but I still enjoyed it. It was really fun and I liked it. I don't know, I'm very like, don't know what to say about it. So anyway, those are the 3 books randomly chosen from by my bookstore. I think I learned from this experience that if the randomization gods are nice to me, I tend to enjoy things. Like these were all at least Amelia Westlake and We Are Lost and Found were both things I'd vaguely had on my radar, but I hadn't added to a proper TBR. Like they weren't high enough on my list to add to a TBR, but I enjoyed both of them decent amounts. Murder Most Unladylike I hadn't heard of before, but upon reading the summary at the bookstore I was like immediately like, yes, this is for me, and I was right. So I think I've reflected that my tastes of what I expect going in are pretty decent, and the randomization gods shone lightly on me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna do more like it in the future, surely. And otherwise, I'm sick, so I feel like this is a terrible wrap up because I don't really get coherent thoughts when I'm sick. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!